give me 1 second because this should expedite it for you.
Well, page changed. Carol, you're up.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carol Hoffman, and I am the Vice President of the Board of Trustees at CUC in Paramus.
My name is Jack Lohr, and I am the Vice President of the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood.
We realize that some of us may come to these shared ventures between CUC and USR with preconceived ideas about each other. We have years of living near one another, but being separated by town, by style, and by leadership. Those differences are real. We can see it even in our own approaches to COVID. We have adopted different protocols and our risk tolerances are different.
And yet we have so many things in common. Back in the good old days, for 13 years between 1899 and 1923, we shared 4 ministers who would preach at both congregations. In more recent times, we shared a youth program and we have collaborated on RE programming. And throughout all of our history, we have shared the values of what used to be called liberal religion and a vision of the world lit by compassion and kindness.
This morning, we come together again, albeit in a strange way, with some of us, hopefully some of us are going to be at CUC and some at USR and some at home, in order to strengthen our ties once more, to deepen our understanding of and appreciation for each other and our shared past and possible future. If you are new to either congregation this morning, a special welcome to you. We are glad to have you have found us. Please reach out to us on Zoom or in person. You can stop anyone and ask more about our congregations.
And as always, we appreciate your grace and patience with our use of technology and its foibles. We are so glad you've joined us for this unique service with your hearts and minds open and your readiness to celebrate with love. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody. I invite you now, if you have a chalice at home, to light it along with me and say our chalice lighting words, which will be up on your screen. We light this chalice for the light of truth, which illuminates our minds, for the warmth of love, which nourishes our hearts, and for the energy of action, which animates our spirits. We light this, may this light remind us of our shared dreams and our common humanity as we honor our past, vision for the future, and gather together in the embrace of this healing and hopeful community.
Now come, take a deep breath and listen. With surprising days of sunny, mild weather behind us and the cold of winter asserting itself once more, we come this morning to remember what it is to care for one another. We come this morning, this day before Valentine's Day, ready to open our hearts to expand our understanding of love and to offer it to one another. Within each of us is a wellspring of love just waiting to burst forth. Hear this sound for the call that it is. The Spirit's call to expansive growth, the mind's call to new learnings, the soul's call to deeper compassion, the heart's call to greater love. Breathe and listen.
In a spirit of loving care, we gather together today with whatever you carry in your heart. When you feel sad, when you feel exhausted, when you feel cold, when you feel hungry, when you feel angry, when you feel alone, when you feel depressed, when you feel sick.
When you feel joyful, when you feel hopeful, you feel that you are in need, we are here for you because we need each other. In the spirit of loving care, we gather together today.
Please join in singing our hymn, number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire, and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but not begin by love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are freed.
Each Sunday when we gather, we have an opportunity to be rabbits for each other, listening, being present, caring for one another as we witness our joys and sorrows. Most of us this morning are gathered online, so we invite you to share your joys and sorrows in the chat now. And after we read those, I will offer some time for the few folks who are gathered here at Central Unitarian Church to share the names of anyone you're holding in your heart today. So let us quiet ourselves in order to enter into that space of holy listening, breathing in a breath of life, breathing out a breath of peace, as we share the joys and sorrows for today, Sunday, February 13th, 2022. And may we hold all those joys and all those sorrows, both spoken and unspoken, in our hearts as we enter into a time of meditation.
With all these joys and sorrows spoken and held in the space between us, and mindful of all those that remain unsaid, held tenderly in the recesses of our hearts, we join now together for our time of meditation and prayer. Please find as comfortable a position for your body as you can. Let your muscles relax. Try to release the tension you carry. If it feels safe and comfortable, close your eyes, and then let yourself focus on your breath. There's no need to do anything special. Just breathe your breath, your rhythm, easy and calm. Don't worry that it's too fast or too slow. Just breathe. And let your mind focus on the air as it moves in and out of your body. In these moments when we are each breathing our own breath, inhabiting our own bodies, our own beings. In these moments when we stop, slow, when we simply are. In these moments, though we go inside ourselves to focus on the air as it moves through us, we also are here together, even through screens. We are present to one another in the silence, witness to one another with each breath. We are individuals apart, yet we are one community of sharing, one community of compassion, one community of nurture, one community of loving. As you breathe, imagine that with each breath out, you are sharing the truth of your life, knowing that it is held in care by all of us, that we shoulder your hurt with you, that we celebrate your joy with you. As you breathe, imagine that with each breath in, you are helping others, holding them, witnessing with gentleness the pain and wonder of their lives. That you are being present to others. As we come into a time of silence, breathe in and breathe out, knowing that you are not alone. Focus again on your breath, on your body in space, in the midst of loving community. As we breathe, we remember that our gathering matters. It changes lives. It opens doors to honesty. It grows the kind of love that every being needs. A love that says, I see you, I hear you, I will sit in the quiet with you. May we be for others every day a loving witness, a steady presence. And may we allow others to do the same for us. So may it be.
At CUC, our mission is to welcome all into a home of spiritual diversity that challenges us to become our best selves, to minister to one another in love, and to serve the greater community.
And at USR, our mission is to grow in mind and spirit, to act for justice and love, and to transform ourselves and the world.
Although different in their particular language, our mission statements are similar at their core. We share a commitment to building the beloved community. The work of fulfilling the heart of our shared mission never stops, and it is only made possible by our gifts of time, talent, and material support.
Gathering together in a shared service and collecting our offering together affirm the vital contributions each of us makes to our congregations and to the larger community. On your screen, you'll see instructions on how to give for each congregation. Here at USR this month, our collection goes to our operating budget while we continue to collect donations for the Center for Food Action on the Reeb House porch.
Our offering today recognizes all that we have to share with each other. Our offering today celebrates the presence of Unitarian Universalism here in our shared home of Northern New Jersey. Our offering today honors our collective work in creating a more welcoming and better world for all.
Please give generously. The morning offering will now be given and gratefully received.
So, what do we do about all the pain we see in the world? All the pain we feel in our own lives? And why does it seem like our best efforts to help somebody feel better always backfire? I've been studying intense grief and loss, baby death, violent crimes, accidents, suicides, and natural disasters. And I've learned something really interesting. Cheering people up, telling them to be strong and persevere, helping them move on, it doesn't actually work. It's kind of a puzzle. It seems counterintuitive, but the way to help someone feel better is to let them be in pain. This is true for those giant losses and the ordinary, everyday ones. Educator Parker Palmer writes, "The human soul doesn't want to be advised or fixed or saved. It simply wants to be witnessed exactly as it is." He's talking about acknowledgement here. Acknowledgement is this really amazing multi-tool. It makes things better even when they can't be made right. For example, somebody's struggling. Their baby died, or there's been a bad accident, or their mom got sick, and they're just sad. It's way more helpful to join them in their pain than it is to cheer them up, but here's what we tend to do instead. "You have 2 other children, you need to find joy in them." Or, "You know what you need? You just need to go out dancing and shake it off." Or, "I felt really sad once. Did you try acupuncture?" We're not really sure what to do with someone's pain, so we do what we've been taught. We look on the bright side. We try to make people feel better. We give them advice. It's not like this is nefarious. I mean, we try to cheer people up because we think that's our job. We're not supposed to let people stay sad. The problem is, you can't heal somebody's pain by trying to take it away from them. Now, acknowledgement does something different. When a giant hole opens up in someone's life, it's actually much more supportive to acknowledge that hole and let pain exist. It's actually a radical act to let things hurt. It goes against what we've been taught. In order to really support you, I have to acknowledge that things really are as bad as they feel to you. If I try to cheer you up, you end up defending yourself and your feelings. If I give you advice, you feel misunderstood instead of supported. And I don't get what I want either, because I wanted you to feel better. It's pretty rare that you could actually talk somebody out of their pain. Rarely does the admonishment to look on the bright side actually heal things for someone. It just makes them stop telling you about their pain. It's so tempting to try to make things better. When somebody shares something painful, it's much more helpful to say, "I'm sorry that's happening. Do you want to tell me about it?" To be able to say, "This hurts," without being talked out of it, that's what helps. Being heard helps. It seems too simple to be of use, but acknowledgement can be the best medicine we have. It makes things better, even when they can't be made right.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lenzi from CUC, Central Unitarian Church. I'm the Director of Religious Education. In the spirit of our water and flower communions, I would like to offer a love note communion of sorts this morning. Unfortunately, since we're online, I'm going to ask you to grab a slip of paper or a Post-it note and have something ready to write with for this activity. Few things are uplifting to one's mood as a surprise note offering just a few kind and positive words. Several years ago, I arrived in my office after a really busy and stressful weekend of helping to host an owl training here in our building to find this little Post-it on my desk. It says simply, "Lynn, you are awesome, heart, Zoe." That simple note made my day, and it has remained on my desk ever since then. If I'm looking around for something or reaching for a pen and I catch it out of the corner of my eye, it just makes me smile, makes me feel good. So I invite you to jot down a short and simple note of love, support, comfort, encouragement, or even laughter, to be shared in communion with another. Your note can be short and sweet, like the "You are awesome" note, or perhaps something deeper, a mantra that has carried you through a difficult time that you might want to share with someone else. In a moment, when we have some special music to share with you, you will be asked to share the message that you would like to offer. And then once you have done that, take a look through the chat and see what the other messages are that are being shared by other people. And I want you to take one of those messages back for yourself. As you go through the chat and seeing what other people post, which one of those messages speaks to you, speaks to your heart, has a special meaning, like it was written just for you to hear. So once you have found your message, write it down for yourself on a piece of paper or a Post-it note. I hope that you will add it to your desk or to your dressing mirror, or maybe above your coffee pot, or even the dashboard of your car, or in your wallet where you will see it often, so that it will continue to catch your eye and make you smile and remind you that you are loved. So again, as our music begins to play, remember to give a message and take a message back for yourself. Blessed be.
One of the first places I remember learning how to listen, how to simply listen to others, was at Jack's Coffee Shop on West 10th Street in Greenwich Village. It was a small shop with 2-person tables, and the shop opened at a time when increasingly coffee shops were populated by individuals sitting at tables by themselves, wearing headphones, staring intently into laptops, and ignoring the world around them. But at Jack's, such devices were missing. Customers read books or actually talked to each other. Jack encouraged this atmosphere. He was interested in his shop being a community gathering place, and he often invited people to sit and chat. If there wasn't an empty table, he asked one of the other patrons if they could share and would introduce the 2 strangers to each other before he went off to help the next customer. And eventually, we all learned how to do this ourselves. Usually, such pairings involved striking up a conversation. We discussed the latest activities in the neighborhood, perhaps the new high-rise that was going up where the old parking lot used to be, or we shared small facts about ourselves, places we visited, places we like to shop, things we like to do. Many of those people became familiar faces, but I also struck up conversations with strangers that I never saw again. I learned to listen with curiosity and no other agenda. Over time, I brought this behavior to other places like outdoor cafes and park benches, and my friends would often laugh at me for striking up seemingly endless conversations with complete strangers who were eager for me to listen. This is one of the aspects that I deeply loved and miss about urban living. It's where I learned to listen. Yes, I had to learn. No one ever taught me. Open and curious listening isn't often taught in school. We are taught, sometimes explicitly by our education, often implicitly through the frequent behavior of those around us, how to fix, advise, entertain, judge, influence, or debate. These are the behaviors of many of the animals in the story that Reverend Sarah shared earlier. Only rabbit, out of all of those animals, seemed to have truly learned how to listen. Just sit and listen. No agenda, no goals, no judgments. This is one of the core ways we offer loving care to each other in our congregational communities. Before I arrived here in Paramus in New Jersey, I served as assistant minister in a large congregation. I only led worship one Sunday a month, so on most Sundays, I wandered the pews, sitting with congregants and listening to joys, sorrows, exciting milestones, and the mundane details of daily living. I found this tapestry of conversation can be just as nourishing, maybe even more so than the worship itself. These little moments of listening, of loving care, are often what connect people to a congregation. And such moments are becoming harder and harder to find in our shared lives. Modern living and modern entertainment allows us to go anywhere we want with instant entertainment at our fingertips. We can sit with our headphones on and our devices out and shield ourselves from everything that goes on around us. In airports, buses, trains, coffee shops, where normally these interactions with neighbors and strangers occurred, have shifted more and more to individual experiences. We live in what is deemed the most connected time in human history, yet people increasingly report feelings of loneliness and isolation, and the pandemic has only made these struggles worse. Yet, our congregations remain spaces where we can put those devices aside, along with the modern behaviors that come with them, and listen to each other. Listen to each other with loving care. Out of all the ways we have to offer care to each other, listening with a loving presence remains a rare and a precious gift. A gift that is easy to give and one that goes a long way of spreading love in a world that so desperately needs it.
One of my best friends growing up was Jack, which was very coincidental when Andrée and I discovered that Jack's cafe story and my Jack friend story. But Jack and I went to school together from the time we were 4 all the way through graduating high school. In the way of that kind of friendship, it ebbed and flowed over the long years. And sadly, it didn't survive college. So it's been years since I last saw him. But 14 years of friendship leaves marks, and a handful of formative moments remain strong in my memory. One of those moments was the first time I had the wherewithal, the maturity, the words, really, to ask for what I needed. I cannot for the life of me remember the context, and I can't have been much more than 14. But I remember calling Jack because something had happened in my life that I wanted to talk about. But I also knew my friend and knew that he'd want to try and help. So before he could say anything, I preempted him and I said, hey, I need to share some things, but I don't want advice. I don't want ideas. I don't want fixing. I just want to talk. I just want you to listen. And it was magical. I had spoken up for myself. He did an amazing job being present, bearing witness, though that was not a term I'd have used back then. And it was exactly what I needed in that moment. I don't know where I got the notion to ask. My memory for my own childhood is pretty spotty. But to this day, I can remember that I was nervous about articulating what I needed. And then I was so happy with the outcome. And it was a reminder, not only that that kind of listening can be extremely powerful, the kind that doesn't immediately jump to fix, but it also reminded me, taught me really, that asking for what we need is a valuable skill to develop. And neither of those came naturally to me as a child. I come from a long line of people that like to fix, take control, give lots of advice. Learning not to, learning to hold back, that was a process. And going even further, learning to recognize that sometimes people don't know how to say what they want or are too deep in grief to even know, and learning to take the step to ask them, hey, in this moment, would it help if I listen and affirm? Or are you looking for advice? What do you need right now? Those have been vital learnings for ministry, but also for deep and honest relationships. And asking for what I need, that took a long, long time. Because the lessons I learned, and some of these may be familiar to you, the lessons I learned growing up were don't share too much, be taking up other folks' time, taking up space, selfish. Feelings are meant to be fixed, or if they're your own, they're meant to be squashed down. Asking for what you need is too much. But guess what? It turns out that that kind of emotional martyrdom doesn't really serve anyone. That asking for what we need, sharing our lives, letting our feelings be okay, all of that is good. Each of us deserves care and consideration, space and room to feel what is real for us and to share without fear and recrimination. Real, authentic relationships rely on the ability to be honest with one another, to be able to ask for what we need, to be able to check in and make sure that the person we are sharing with or who is sharing with us is okay with what is passing between us. We aren't actually taught relational boundaries and health very well. We don't focus on that, but we can learn it. We can learn that balance and that set of boundaries. So for example, just dumping a 3-page email of feelings on someone out of nowhere isn't great boundaries. It asks an emotional labor of the other without checking in to see if they have that space to give. This is not a way to develop mutually caring relationships. Also, if we find ourselves in relationships in which we are always the one holding the other, never getting the chance to share our own life, or vice versa, it's not great balance. And a lack of balance over the long term will leave folks feeling unseen, unheard, unloved. But when we can achieve balance and boundaries, trust is built, vulnerability becomes possible, and suddenly we have the security to confirm what we have to give and what we have to offer. And when we have that honesty and vulnerability and communication that helps us negotiate the space between us, suddenly we can build the kind of relationships we long for. And that's really the crux of it. Most of us enter into relationships, friendships, romantic partnerships, mentorships, community relationships like we make in a congregation, all of it, we enter in wanting to be seen, wanting to be known, wanting to be of use. We cannot be seen, be of use, be known if others are unwilling to hear, if we're unwilling to speak. We have to learn how to really listen and to really ask. We have to learn how to be honest when something about the relationship isn't working for us. To achieve mutual loving care, we have to find the balance and the boundaries. We have to speak and we have to listen. We have to offer this particular kind of love to one another. So this Valentine's Day, a day when we traditionally celebrate romantic relationships with flowers and chocolate and cards, we invite you to engage intentionally in bearing witness or asking for a witness. Take that next step of intimacy and care with a friend. Find that space of vulnerability and quiet. Find that place of mutual compassion and grow your love by offering or receiving presence. We talk about love a lot in UU congregations, and it can seem vague or hard to put into action. This is one way, through the gift of silent presence, that we offer one another love. May we do it with intention and forethought, with honesty and clarity and patience, all the days of our lives. So may it be.
Please join in singing our hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has dried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
If you have a chalice lit in your home space, I invite you to extinguish it now with me and then say together our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not our promise to each other, to tend the light of truth and grace within our hearts, to hold each other with the warmth of love, to transform this world with our energetic action. May these promises be a beacon of hope until we are together again.
We part today in a spirit of loving care with whatever you carry in your heart. When you feel sad,
We weep with you.
when you feel exhausted,
We let you rest.
when you feel cold,
We offer you warmth.
when you feel hungry,
We nourish you.
when you feel angry,
We listen to your pain.
when you feel alone,
We give you company.
when you feel depressed,
We sit with you.
when you feel stuck,
We lend you a helping hand.
when you feel joyful,
We celebrate together.
when you feel hopeful,
We share your dreams.
when you feel you are in need.
We turn to each other
We are here for you.
because we need each other.
May we bring this spirit of loving care to each other and to the world. Friends, thank you so much for joining us. We will adjust the settings so you can say good morning to each other as well. Into the chat, we dropped a couple of announcements. There's an announcement for CUC folks about the refounding task force and information that's on that group's website, but also is coming at you via email, I believe, right, Andrée?
Yes, thank you, Sarah. So for those that didn't attend the retreat, we'll be sending out information on what happened there and important information about a vote that will be taking place on March 6th.
And then the USR anti-racism team wants to share with CUC as well. There are a thing called dialogue circles that are being run out of Beacon, the UU congregation and Summit. There's a link in the chat. You can go to sign up for those. They're small group conversations that will really deepen and further your commitment to anti-racism and to the 8th principles. So those are open to all. Go ahead and sign up. The deadline for signing up is quite soon though, so check that out today. And then let's let everyone say good morning.
Thank you all.
Can everybody should be able to unmute now.
Good morning.